Hey guys, it's Omer from MMOs.com, doing a quick week news recap of all major MMO news, announced for the week ending April 16th, 2018. This is episode number 143 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week comes from Nexon, and it's a big one. MapleStory 2 is finally coming to the West. My previous speculation proved correct, and Nexon made the announcement at MapleStory Fest, and it looks like the game will be launching into closed beta test on May 9th, which means the game will be playable in less than a month. The closed beta will run until May 16th, with signups open until May 6th. It's a short closed beta, but I'm mega hyped to finally get the official announcement, and it's even more hyped to hear how soon closed beta is starting. And while MapleStory 2 didn't do particularly well in South Korea, I'm optimistic about it in the West. It's actually a unique title that features a ton of fun stuff to do outside of core gameplay loops, like persistent world housing, player design items and content, as well as minigames and much more. I'm actually super hyped for this one, and it's finally happening. Next up, we have another game that's finally happening. Dauntless will be entering open beta on May 24th and will finally be free to play. For those that haven't heard of Dauntless, it's a Monster Hunter inspired co-op game on the PC, and as far as I know, it's the only free to play Monster Hunter like game. Since announcing the open beta, over 700,000 players have signed up to participate as well, so there's definitely a lot of hype for this one. Prior to open beta, you did need to buy a Founders Pack to play, which kept many players on the sidelines. This one is definitely unique in the free to play space, and the action combat is actually quite fun. The last time I played though, the game felt a bit light on content. Hopefully they have addressed this issue since. So yeah, open beta is set to begin on May 24th. Speaking of games finally launching, Conan Exiles is officially launching on May 8th after 14 months of early access. It'll be available on the PC, Xbox, and PS4, and with the launch update comes a lot of changes. Conan Exiles, for those that don't know, is a survival game similar to games like Rust and Ark, except with more RPG elements. I played the early access quite a bit, but was frustrated with the lack of optimizations and the limited number of players per server. All that should be worked out by now though. If you like survival games, give this one a try. It is buy to play. My favorite of these games though still remains Rust. Up next, In-Mass Entertainment revealed the details of the upcoming Godfall update for Tera, which In-Mass is called one of the most significant updates of the year. The update is set to launch tomorrow on April 17th, and will bring with it new Apex skills for 7 of the game's classes. Other classes will get a chance to unlock their own Apex skills later this year. The introduction of these Apex skills is a big deal, so hopefully other classes don't have to wait too long. Players will get a chance to unlock them upon reaching level 65 and having an item level of 439 or higher. And again, this update is launching tomorrow. Also in the free-to-play and more RPG update space, Soulworker introduced a new level 55 operation called Dimension Trip, which is a new PvP operation. The operation pits players against both monsters and each other in a 10-minute free-for-all match that's available 3 times per day for players who reach level 55. It's open to 4 to 8 players at once, and participating rewards players with a Xenostone that can be traded in for various items. Since launching on Steam, Soulworker still maintains a very sizable player base. It's been averaging about 4,500 or so players online on average over the last 30 days, which is significantly more than similar games like Closers and Critica, so Soulworker is still doing really well. And it's actually a bit more challenging than the other action and more RPGs as well. Next up, EVE Online's latest expansion was officially announced this last week and is titled Into the Abyss, and is set to launch in May 2018. As with all previous EVE Online expansions, it'll be free for both subscription-based players and free-to-play users. Into the Abyss introduces a new area called the Abyssal Dead Space, which brings with it new challenges and survival gameplay. The new area is a hostile environment with unpredictable encounters, and I'm actually a big fan of CCP's expansion model. Every expansion is free for subscribers, which is pretty awesome. EVE is also celebrating its 15th anniversary this May, which is pretty crazy. The game's been running for 15 years. It's easily one of the longest-running MMORPGs as well. If you never played EVE, it's worth checking out only because it's so radically different from other MMORPGs. Moving right along, also in EVE-related news, the EVE Online mobile spin-off EVE War of Ascension is set to launch later this year. Prior to this week's announcement, the game was only known as Project Aurora. The mobile spin-off will have most of the backbone features of the PC MMO, such as forming alliances, hex maps, installations, and of course, spaceships. Specific gameplay details aren't quite available just yet, but you can see something in the background video. Not being developed by CCP, it's being developed by another studio contracted by CCP. Still, given that it bears the EVE Online name, I'm kind of optimistic for this, but we'll have to wait and see. It'll be launching sometime later this year on both Android and iOS. Next up, SKyforge launched its Overgrowth expansion this last week, and with it comes the brand new class, the Grove Walker. The expansion introduces new areas and enemies, but also includes a new challenge system, which is a kind of achievement system. While we haven't talked too much about SKyforge recently, I do remember having quite a bit of fun with it during launch. The fact that you can play all of the game's class on a single character is pretty neat, and something you don't really see in too many other MMOs. Final Fantasy XIV is the only game that comes to mind right now, but I'm sure there's a few others. Next, Neowiz Games revealed a lot of details this week about the upcoming Steam launch of Bless Online, and the key difference between the Steam version and the older Korean version is that the new version of Steam on Bless, which is launching next month, features quite a bit of changes, namely more action-oriented combat, which Neowiz is calling rhythmic combat. It also has new party buffs, a revamped tutorial zone, new growth mechanics, improved content pacing, and much more. Most notably though, Bless will be buy to play, and Neowiz has promised a completely fair cash shop, but then again, no developer comes out and says they'll be pay to win, so it's kind of a meaningless promise. Still, I'm hyped to give the Western version of Bless a try because I did have a lot of fun with the Russian version. Next up, Bosky Studios, the guys behind Lawbreakers, announced a brand new game this last week titled Radical Heights. So they stopped development on Lawbreakers and are focusing their efforts on this new 80s-infused battle royale game with a game show theme. The core concept isn't terrible, but it looks like Bosky's chasing yet another hype fad years late to the party. Lawbreakers chased the hero shooter hype, except for the fact that they were mega late on that hype, and they did the same thing now with Radical Heights. At least Radical Heights is free to play, so they aren't making the same monetization mistake twice. The game is already available on Steam Early Access, but just a heads up, I did a first look for this one already, and it's mega buggy and incomplete. As is, this one is definitely a skip. I'm really not sure what they were thinking, but it's the game is out there if you want to try it. The next and last bit of news this week comes from IMC Games regarding Tree of Savior. The game is introducing a new guild vs. guild territory war system to the game, but it isn't quite ready for release just yet, so the dev team is trying to do a short beta test for it on April 17th to April 24th. I expect it'll be released on the live service shortly afterwards if all goes well. Tree of Savior still averages about 1,550 players online at once, which isn't bad at all. Sure, it's well off its peak, but it still has a decent player base. Anyway guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later guys.